I think you're going to like this picture.
Ready? Go.
Nothing more. Highly debatable. That's a fact, Jack. Why am I in such a good mood? Because it's a beautiful day. And in 1 hour, I get to hear my Lakeshore Drive song. Put the top down. How you doing, everybody? Murph with you from now until 2 o'clock. Lots to do. Hope to shove about 5 hours into the 2-hour show. By the way, this hour brought to you by Future Vision Laser. Centers a better vision for your future. Call 630-920-5880. Wow. All right. We are about 15 minutes away from What's Your Beef? Start getting in mind right now. You're going to phone in about 15 minutes. What's your beef? Your sports beefs. And, of course, for the best beefs from you, I will send you to the best beefs in Chicago. Browns, lunchtime beefs and Browns. You know it tastes better. We were going to go heavy today into Blackhawks, Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox. Let's start with our text question of the day. Text me yes or no, 67011. Thanks to U.S. Cellular, they power our text system. Text me 67011. 1-1, yes or no? Very simple. If the Blackhawks lose, they are dead. Yes or no? But let's get inside the numbers.
Numbers are like your brother-in-law. They lie if they need to.
Numbers don't lie. Well, maybe they do.
John DeWan's stat of the week.
Yeah, those numbers are a little screwed, too, because skewed, rather, not screwed.
Numbers, unlike children, don't lie.
Numbers in baseball can be the most misleading things in the game.
Not a stat guy. Save that for John DeWan.
John DeWan, Murph has made famous over the years.
Oh, I don't know about that. Celebrity line ringing. Let's go to the man with the numbers over at statoftheweek.com, baseballinfosolutions.com. It's Murph, and I believe it's John DeWan. Hello, Johnson.
Hey, Murph, how you doing?
I'm fine. John, one of my favorite 15 minutes of the week, of course. Stat of the week, 18 years, John DeWan. Started back with guys like Bill James many years ago, the evolution and revolution of looking at the numbers. John, I've got a million different directions to go, but I know that you always come to the table with some interesting numbers. Why don't I let you go first today? What do you have for us for Stat of the Week?
All right, I have the quarterly report on the Cubs and the White Sox.
All
We're
right.
about at the 1/4 mark. Sox have a couple games to go. Cubs have a couple games to go before they reach the quarter mark. And I thought I would just share with you what the numbers are saying.
This would be like going to Arlington Park at the quarter post. Here they come.
That's coming around the turn.
Okay.
So, let me do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over offense, defense, starting pitching, and relief pitching.
All right.
And I'm going to ask you what you think you are seeing with your eyes, because you watch a lot of these games, almost all of them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what the numbers say as far as how the two teams rank.
So this is where you make the host look like he always does, a little goofy. Okay,
no,
I'm up for it.
Make the host look good, because I think you know your stuff.
We'll find out soon. What do you have, John DeWan?
We'll start with the Cubs. All right, the Cubs scoring. Where do you think the Cubs rank in offense, runs per game, in the National League? So
well, let's see now.
15 teams.
They have led the league or been 1 or 2 over the last few years, but I certainly don't see that right now. I'll put them smack dab in the middle, around number 8 out of 16.
And they're number 6, so they're just slightly above the middle, and they've come around. They, last week or so, they've made progress. They got their run scoring up. Yeah. So they're 6th. All right, how about defense? This is something that I've been tracking the last few years, and I came up with a system that measures how many runs a defense saves for his team.
So this is not the 150-year-old fielding percentage. You threw that out many years ago, right?
No. This is looking at how much range they cover, how well do they turn a double play, and even down to how well the pitchers hold runners on base and the catchers throw out runners.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let me look at it this way, John. They may not have a lot of gold glove guys. However, they don't seem to have a lot of butchers out there either that are hurting the team. So if I went with that, I'm not going to just say 8 out of 16 again. That's too easy. I'm going to say that they are in the upper half, but maybe in that second quadrant. So I'm going to place the Cubs defense somewhere out of 6, between like 5, 6, 7, or 8.
Very good, Murph. Right on the button. They're number 7.
Cool.
They have, their defense has saved them 5 runs, and it's primarily center field. The center fielders by themselves have saved 5 runs, Fukudomi and Reed Johnson. So they've done a good job in center, and no real weaknesses anywhere. No weaknesses anywhere.
I can hear the guy in the Eden's Expressor, or maybe the Dan Ryan. Go, what about Soriano? And you know what? Soriano, he looks bad. He is gangly. He takes bad routes. He hasn't thrown a whole lot of people out with the kills this year.
No, he has 3 kills so far, which is okay.
It's okay.
Not like he has in the
pace
last
for
few
12. Well, fewer people are running on him now.
That's exactly right. There's not as many running. But
I will argue, people, that he doesn't butcher as many balls as his reputation leads you to believe.
Here's the thing. He can make a play look like he's the worst left fielder in all of baseball.
Right.
But the bottom line is he makes more than his share of plays. He comes out about average. He'll make a play look horrible, and then he'll do fine for most of the rest. So his run saved exactly 0, Murph.
Okay, well, that means he didn't lose any ground.
He didn't lose anything, didn't gain anything.
He's an offensive player with the bat, and if he just holds 0 there, that's better than most think. Okay, so the Cubs are in the upper half around number 6 runs scored, and they're in the upper half around number 6 out of 16 in your fielding Bible rankings.
7 out of 16
in
defense.
7. All right.
All right, so how about the starters? Where do you think the ERA for the starters ranks?
Now, this is not counting bullpen, I take it?
Not at all. We're going to look at the starters, and then we're going to look at the relievers separately.
All right, well, I believe that the Cubs are in the league leaders for quality starts. Now, people can argue if that's a good number or not, but I don't have time for that argument right now. I will say the Cubs starters are within the top 2, 3. I'm going to say the Cubs starters, I'm going to go out on the limb and say they're number 3.
Number 5, Murph. So you're right there.
All right.
The Cubs have done great. 5 out of 16 teams. Starters ERA of 4.06.
Not bad.
Very good.
All right.
Good. They're fine.
Now you're going to trip me up and ask about the bullpen, I bet.
Well, I think your eyes and the numbers are probably going to match here. But let's see. Where do you think the Cubs relief pitching has ranked so far in the National League among 16 teams?
Well, they've had some bright spots. Marmol, Guzman. Bright spots are few and far between. Not with Kotz, not with Patton, not with Heilman, not with Kevin Gregg, though I don't think he's quite as bad as everyone wants to boo him out of town. I'd say they'd be hard-pressed to be in the upper half, so I'm going to put them out of 16 below number 8. I'll put them at number 10.
They're 15, Murph. 15 out of 16.
Wow.
5.44 relief ERA.
Even worse than I thought.
That it is, and it's the key area of weakness. We had the 3 other areas all better than average.
Yep.
And we have the really sore spot of the relief pitching. I agree with you about Kevin Gregg. I think he's going to come around.
Our text results are in right now, but I'd like to reload it. 67011, Murph till 2. We'll get to Blackhawks, Cubs, and Sox. What's your beef coming up in just a couple minutes right now? Yes or no? A dead heat, John DeWan. You're a statistical guy. 50% yes, 50% no to our question. If the Blackhawks lose tonight, they are dead. Well, half of the Blackhawk fans say, no, they're not dead. Half say, yes, they are. And just wanted to remind everybody, you gotta see Jack.com. My guys, Jack Phelan Chevrolet, home of the GM Total Confidence Package. The 5 years, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, the vehicle value protection. Check it all out at Jack Phelan Chevrolet. You gotta see Jack.com. All right, John, are we going to take a whack at your favorite team, the White Sox,
now? All right,
now?
let's go over to the south side.
All righty.
All right, runs per game offense, ranking of the White Sox among 14 teams in the American League. Where do you think they rank?
Well, I know Paul Konerko said, boy, you got to score at least 4 runs a game, but the league average, I believe, is around 4.5 over the course of time. I would say the White Sox are well below the midpoint, which is 7 out of 14 in the American League. I'll put the Sox run scoring and offense at around 10.
All right, so Konerko says they should score at least 4. Well, they're the only team in the American League that is under 4 runs per game, Murph. 3.89 runs per game.
14?
14
wow.
out of 14.
Unbelievable. That puts pressure on your pitching staff and your defense.
Everywhere. I mean, you can't win if you can't score.
14th out of 14.
They were
hitless
last year.
Right.
They were 5th last year.
Yep.
They were fine last year, and but now they can't get it going. This happened 2 years ago too. I just hope this. I think they'll turn it around. I mean, there's too much talent on the team for them.
Hold on, John. My headphone just clicked in and out there for a second. What'd you just say? You think they're going to do what? Turn it? What was that, John?
There's just too much talent, Murph.
Now,
they're going to turn it
John,
around.
later in the show, I'm going to unveil again from over the years my games behind in the standings and the the next category that they don't have. The next column should be TGB, total games behind, and ask later if the White Sox are really just 5.5 games back of first place, having to leapfrog some other clubs. So you remember that numbers crunching we did once, right?
Oh, absolutely. That'll be fun to do again.
Okay. All right, John. Defense.
Where do you think Sox rank in defense?
Oh, I tell you what, yesterday they had to play more guys out of position. That's what happens with injuries. They had a very fine-fielding second baseman, Jason Nix, out in left field. He got things crossed up with Pods, goes for a 3-base error. Maybe that was the key play of the game. They've had mix and match all year. I have to say that it's not pretty, the White Sox defensive numbers. I'm going to put them in the lower half from 8 through 14.
Well, I think what you're seeing on the field is translating into the numbers, Murph, because the White Sox are 12th in the American League in defense.
Ouch.
Their defense has cost them about 15 runs. And here's the position, and people I don't think really realize this, but it's third base, Murph. Joe Creedy with the Twins. The Twins' third base position has saved their team 8 runs.
Yikes.
The White Sox third base position has cost their team 7 runs. And, Josh Fields is he doesn't look horrible, but he's just not making all the plays.
So, John, a 15-run swing from a +8 to a -7 in 1/4 of a year, we're projecting a 60-run swing if this were to continue.
I don't think it'll stick.
But I mean,
it won't be that bad. But that's not good for a quarter of a year.
No, because look at what it would be if it continued.
Now 60 runs, that's 6 wins, Murph. The rule of thumb is 10 runs per win.
Wow.
So,
all right, now we go to what? Pitching.
We'll go to starting pitching next.
All right, this is John Dewan. You can reach John at statoftheweek.com. All the great publications over there. The Bill James, the Nuggets. Well, I always get that name wrong.
The Gold Mine.
The Gold Mine. All the little nuggets in the Gold Mine. The Fielding Bible, which is on the desk of many of the baseball general managers. Some of them hide it in the drawer, though, John, because they don't want people to know that they're actually looking at some of the great numbers all around baseball. And statoftheweek.com to find those. All right. Delayed this enough here. White Sox, what do you go? Starting pitching first?
Starting pitching. Rank their team ERA as for starters.
Okay,
well, how do they rank?
Well, Burley's been Burley, which is fine. And Danks has been okay, now shaky.
Yeah.
Floyd has been not so hot. Contreras was 0-5 when he was sent out. Richard, who I liked Clayton Richard last August and September. He has been okay, I will say. And Cologne is up and down. He'll give you a good outing, a bad outing. That's going to place the White Sox around 9 to 10 out of 14.
Murph, you know your stuff, Murph. Number 11, 5.41 ERA as a starting unit.
So 14th in runs, 12th in fielding, and 11th, one more than 10, ERA. 11 in starters era. But the bright news, now the final category is bullpen?
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, I would think that this is a little breath of fresh air. Bobby Jenks has been his consistent, pretty much lights-out guy. Thornton has been very, very fine this year. Linebrink not so hot. Dotel okay, even though yesterday he walked
great until yesterday.
Right, walked the lead run on and then had some control trouble. I will put the White Sox, John, in the upper half of the quadrant. I will put them in around 3 or 4 in the bullpen.
And you're right there again, Murph. Number 5, 3.64 relief ERA for the Chicago relievers, White Sox relievers. So 3 struggling parts for the Sox, 1 bright part, and the opposite for the Cubs.
Wow.
3 areas where they're doing pretty good, and they're struggling in the area where the Sox are doing well, relief pitching.
And the standings reflect the numbers as usual.
Exactly.
Hey, John, great job. BaseballInfoSolutions.com to find all those numbers and much, much more, or the shorthand quickie statoftheweek.com. Uh-oh, John. The yes and no, the Blackhawks, if they lose, they are dead. Yes. 35%. No, 65%.
It's two home games. There's two home games in Detroit. They still got their own. They just got to win one in Detroit and hold serve, right?
What's that? Jay Zawaski says many of the results are coming in from the 1800 block of West Madison. We're tracking this to Jay Blunt, John McDonough, Rocky Wirtz are pounding it. No, we're not dead. Thanks a lot, John. Great job as always. What's your beef? You're always welcome to call in for What's Your Beef. I'd love to go to Northwest Side John someday for What's Your Beef. Thank you, Mr. Dewan. Thank you.
All right, see you later. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. And you know what that means? Fire it up, 644-6767. What's your beef next?
Pull them out!
We want to know what's bothering you in the world of sports. Give Murph a call at 312-644-6767. That's 312-644-6767. And tell him what's beefing you in the world of sports. What's Your Beef is brought to you by Brown's Chicken Sandwiches and Catering and BrownsChicken.com. BrownsChicken.com to find the nearest Browns location to you. Hey, there's one just up ahead on the right. Pull in. Oh, you're hungry. Look at it. 24 and a half minutes after 12 o'clock. Your stomach's growling. How about an Italian beef at Brown's? Dipped, dry, wet. An Italian sausage at Brown's. See, they do it the Chicago way. You know it tastes better. Put them together. You really got a hunger today at lunchtime. Frank Portillo, the president of Brown's, his favorite of all the great items at Brown's is the combo. The Italian beef, the Italian sausage, put it together. Call it a combo. Let's get to the phone lines and see what you, the Chicago sports fans, beefing about today. Lizard on the north side. Hey, Lizard.
How you doing, Murph?
Fine, Lizard. What's your beef?
Murph, my beef is with third base coaches that don't know what they're doing.
What else is new, right?
Yeah, you got it.
What happened that set you off here, Lizard?
Third base coach, it's bottom of the ninth.
Yeah.
Your team is rallying. You have men on first and second.
Yeah.
A left-handed batter hits ball to the left fielder. Left fielder is going to concede the run.
Yeah.
The third base coach holds up the runner coming from second base, which is an insignificant run.
Right.
Almost pulls the man's hamstring. He scores anyway.
Yeah.
And you don't get the tie and run at third base because the left fielder conceded the base.
You know, Lizard, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's difficult, but I'll tell you one thing. These guys, all around baseball, not just our own guys, though we do have two of the worst here, Cox and Quaddy, I'll say that, even though that's more like tool of the week time. But, Lizard, they don't use their brain as far as the strategy, the situation. You talk about situational hitting from a hitter, situational pitching from the pitcher. How about situational decision-making by the third base coach?
You got it, Murph. You know what the solution is to this is?
You and me coaching third.
No, Murph. Get the manager, Murph.
Yeah.
Get the manager out of the dugout. Let him go coach third base.
I love it.
Take the third base coach, put him at first base.
Yeah.
Take the first base coach, put him in the bullpen. let your guy on the dugout. He runs the team. Leave the pitching coach alone.
It's like piggy move up. Everybody move one to the left.
Everything moves, Murph.
Hang on, Lizard. You're going to go visit my friends at Brown's. You know it tastes better. Thanks for getting us rolling, Lizard. Hook up my guy, Lizard. That's terrific. Brown's tastes better. My favorite at lunchtime, the Maxwell Street Polish. Oh, man, the grilled onions, the yellow mustard. Like I've been saying for years, you can't even find Maxwell Street anymore. Did you see the big front page story in the Sun-Times? Man, they changed Maxwell Street. Where do you find a good Maxwell Street Polish? At Brown's, it tastes better. Let's go back to the phone.
Hey, Murph.
Gee, I'm very busy. What do you want?
What's your beef?
Oh, gee, thank you. I thought you'd never ask. Position.
Position?
Position.
Position.
Now, you read about Joe Madden the other day. Managers occasionally screw up the lineup card, right? He didn't have a DH. He had two third basemen. A pitcher had to end up batting in the 3-hole, all that, right? You followed that story.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Jay. All the network guys, the evening sports, baseball week in review, baseball nightly, they all then came out and said, well, he had two third basemen listed on his lineup card. Let me ask you a question. Position was my beef, remember?
Right.
It was a long time ago, I know.
Yes.
Here's the thing. I don't think you have to write down the position on the lineup card.
other than in the American League who the DH is. Because think about it. Like if, Ryan Howard's up to bat or Jim Thome's up to bat. You got a big left-handed pull hitter up to bat. Who's really the third baseman now? Is it short? Sometimes the second baseman's out in right field. After that, you can move fielders around all the time, including Prince Fielder. So you know what my guess is? It doesn't even matter. You can put down 8 third basemen. My guess is. That's my beef. Jay, we got to take a break and catch up on a few things. Tell you what. Gary from Streamwood is on the score. Hello, Gary.
Hi, Murph.
Hey, what's your beef, Gary?
Well, I got a beef against certain Sox fans, not the majority by any means, but certain Sox fans who are always complaining that the Cubs always get the good weather. Who's in town this week? The Sox. This is going to be the best week of weather this year.
Hey, Gary, this is where I say declare, just so everybody knows.
Well, I'm a Cubs fan. I don't dislike the Sox. But I rooted for them in the World Series, but it just in the long run, the weather all evens out.
No. You know, factually, I have a feeling the Sox have had worse weather the last few years. Just one of those flukes. But we like
the weather and leather.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay.
That's right. Let's get back to the beef lines. And in line, holding the longest next from Mundaline, Totes is on the score. Hello, Totes.
Hey, Murph, how you doing?
Hi, Totes. Hey, what's your beef?
You read my mind with that Polish, Maxwell Street Polish.
Oh, I'll tell you what. You can't even find Maxwell Street anymore, but you get the Maxwell Street Polish at Brown's, right?
Well, my beef, my beef is with the owners and who's saying with the economy and they have to cut here and cut there.
Here, cut there, cut there.
Exactly.
All right.
And they don't have money and they have to stay within the budget.
Yes.
Well, mine is for AKA Mr. Jerry Reinsdorf.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Says he doesn't have money for free agents, but yet he's trying to buy the Phoenix Coyotes.
Well, that's going to probably be some group and investors and, leveraged. You get about 20 owners together. They each throw in about 5%. But are you a declared Totes Sox fan or Cubs fan?
Sox fan.
All right. Totes, back in the winter, November, December, January, I remember very few Sox fans calling at least my show, not to speak for the other shows, but very few Sox fans upset that the salary dump was going on. In fact, many Sox fans thought it was the right thing to do. Now I hear more and more Sox fans sort of complaining. Where were you? What side of the coin were you on back in, the off season?
I was on the side of the coin to let's spend some money.
Uh-huh. Let's win now.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
See, here was the dilemma they were in, Totes, and we won't do a long dissertation here. I got phones full with beefers, but they had the 4 old veterans, Contreras and Thome and Paulie Konerko and Jermaine Dye, and nothing ready from the farm system right now to speak of. They could have tried to bring in a couple more big veterans or fill in the holes with, veteran guys like an Aaron.
Coco Crisp out in center field.
Well, let me ask you this. Aaron Miles is on the bench with the Cubs. He's not an all-star, but would Aaron Miles be starting right now for the White Sox at second base?
No, but DeRosa might be.
Well, you don't think Aaron Miles would break the starting lineup either over Chris Getz?
Well, they didn't want him to begin with, I don't think.
How about Reed Johnson? Let me ask you about Reed Johnson. He's on the bench with the Cubs. Would he be playing with the White Sox right now?
He'd probably be playing center field.
Well, you see, so it's not like you had to go out and get these $10 million big free agents, but you got to fill some of these holes in with veteran ball players. You know what I mean? There you go. Hey, Totes,
it's hard to learn at this level.
Oh, you got that right. Hey, go visit my friends at Browns. All right, Totes?
All right, thank you.
Hang on, buddy. Nicely done. Let's go next to, Patrick's on the north side of Chicago. Hello, Patrick.
Hey, Murph, how you doing, buddy?
Good. What's your beef?
I got a beef with all the media. Now, I know you're involved in that crew, Murph.
All the media.
Single you out.
Now, that's a pretty broad brush. Okay.
I got a problem, especially with the sports coverers around not giving the Hawks, especially their due diligence in the coverage of their success this season.
Well,
we don't even have a show anymore. We had Jesse Rogers last year.
Oh, I love the little guy.
Dedicated to the Blackhawks.
Well, you know what? I think that at least all I can speak for is from noon to 2. Jay Zawaski, come on, Jay.
Jay, say hello to our guy here, Patrick. Jay, my producer, Patrick, does a great job after every Hawks game, even though we don't carry him. Jay, you come on and...
after every playoff post game.
Hours and hours of phone calls.
Yeah.
Patrick, we all do our shows differently. I try my best for you. That's all I can do.
I'll tell you, that coverage you did of the Vancouver announcers and the Chicago announcers, the best thing I heard in years. I just want to say that, the Hawks deserve it, and good luck tonight to those Blackhawks.
Hopefully we can play some of those Detroit Red Wings radio calls and hear them crying in their soup also, okay?
Yeah, you got it,
Thanks.
Murph.
Thanks, Patrick. I appreciate it, buddy. Let's go to... by the way, at Brown's, after you pick up lunch someday, after you get the Italian beef or your Italian sausage, or maybe the meatball sandwich, those big meatballs, the marinara on the French toasted bread, bloop, one of those meatballs will fall right on right in your pants. Here's what you do. They go, you know what? I've heard so much about the different items at Brown's. How about the Primo pasta bowls? Now, this is new at Brown's. Think about this. Cooked fresh to order, such as the Southwestern-style macaroni and cheese. Or, how about this? The Prima Pasta Bowl, the fresh, fire-roasted tomato pesto pasta, the bold flavor. Or, if you like your pasta Alfredo style, I like saying that. How about Brown's creamy Parmesan Alfredo with Italian sausage? Fantastico! The new, delicious, cooked fresh to order Primo Pasta Bowls at Brown's. Let's next bring up, hey, there's my guy in Brookfield. Hello, Guy.
Good to talk to you.
Yes, sir. What's your beef?
My beef is with Lou Piniella, the last game, okay? Two things. First of all, 8th inning, we fight, it's 4-3, we're down. They've got Matsui, Berkman, and Bourne, three guys who are way better against righties. He's got Marshall Escano. He puts in Escano. That cost us 2 runs. I like Escano, but the right call was Marshall, okay? That cost us 2 runs. We fight back in the 9th inning, 1st and 2nd, Soto's up. There was nobody in the Houston bullpen. They're stuck with their right-hander on the mound. We've got Hoffpower sitting on the bench. He doesn't pinch hit for Soto. Then also, he didn't pinch run for Lee. You've got Johnson to pinch run for Lee. You put in Hoffpower, base hit, scores for sure. I swear to God, if Lee had gotten thrown at the plate, I would have thrown something through my TV. I can't understand why he didn't make those moves, Murph. I think it cost us the game.
Well, you know what, Guy? Those are 3 excellent examples. As you know, that's part of the fun of baseball, being able to break it down. I'm sure Lou would have an argument for you back and forth. I don't think he'd tell you to go blank yourself like he told a fan in the stands out there the other day. But actually, I think that fan was correct. When Kevin Gregg, he had given up the 2 back-to-back bombs, right? Then there was that base hit up the middle that hit his pitching finger, remember?
Perfect time to take him out.
Perfect time to say, Lou, he just blew my mind that time that Lou didn't say to himself, all right, I can bring it out of the bullpen anybody I want with unlimited time to warm up because of the injury. And now, I know after the game he said I wanted to give Greg some innings because he hadn't pitched in a long time. So there's always 2 sides of the coin. And the other thing that I do like about Lou Piniella is that he understands there's 162 games. You're going to lose a few games to win the war. You know that old expression.
I was at that Frisco game against when they played their second string lineup. I enjoyed the game. I
had no problem with that. I thought that was a genius move by Lou. Guy, always good to talk to you. Thanks.
Okay, Murph.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay,
I appreciate it very much. Hey, Vuk is on your side. I've been talking about Jeff Vukovich for years, right? Vuk in Park Ridge. For all your insurance needs, Mike Murphy's nationwide insurance agent of the year, family guy, solid as a rock. Everybody knows Vuk. Someday you will also. Jeff Vukovich. Let's go to Jordan, Vernon Hills. Hello, Jordan.
Murph, I have to tell you, unnecessary news conferences. That's my beef.
You're talking after the ball, before the game? What are you talking about exactly?
I'm talking about when Milton Bradley's suspension was reduced from 2 to 1. And let me declare, I'm a diehard Cubs fan, okay? Mm-hmm. But for this guy, he needs to get off his high horse. For him to say, "Oh, it's just because it's me," give me a break.
Well, do you believe that he feels that or not? That's the bigger point. Do you believe that he feels that in his heart?
He makes his own reputation. He has the reputation of going wild, going crazy.
All right, so then you're from and this is interesting. You're from the side that if you're the commissioner's office and Jermaine Dye throws the helmet,
you will look at him and say, well, you know what, he's never thrown a helmet and hit the umpire before, so we'll only give him one game. But Milton Bradley, whose bill of his helmet touched the umpire, we're going to be more severe with him. So you base your penalty on his track record, which is fine. I just wanted to make sure that's what you're saying.
No, I don't think that they should.
Well, you just said that.
What I'm saying is that you can't touch an umpire, period. We all know that,
That's
right?
not the discussion. I'm asking you if you stand by your original statement, Jordan, that if you've had a bad history, you deserve more penalty for each offense regardless of severity.
I don't think more penalty. I don't think more penalty, Murph. That's not what I mean is that if for him to come and have this news conference saying, "Oh, I only got reduced from 2 to 1."
Well, they told him to probably have the news. So I'm agreeing with you. He should have probably not had a press conference, and that was your initial thing. It was unnecessary for him, right?
Well, that's right, and it reminded me of when Mike Piazza called a news conference to say he wasn't gay.
Well, see, I agree with you that there was no reason for their PR people and Jim Hendry. Ultimately, they should have said, you know what? There's no upside to Milton having a press conference. I would agree with you on that one, but they're probably worried about, like about a month ago when David Schuster, our guy here, we love him, but remember everybody was upset because he wouldn't talk. So I think they overreacted, and for that, I like what you're saying. You're a winner. That's a good beat, Jordan. Hang on. Go visit my friends at Browns. All right, buddy?
Thank you, Murph.
All right. Hook up Jordan in Vernon Hills. That was unnecessary. Why? I'll tell you why. Because they took a lot of heat when he wasn't talking to the press. Sometimes you draw the line. Go, you know what? Like every time that do the managers always come on every time? Before every game, after every game. I understand TV drives the publicity machine. Southside Eric is next on What's Your Beef from Browns. Hello, Eric.
Hello.
Hey, it's Murph. You're on the air. How you doing?
All right. I just want to talk about the crosstown fan rivalry.
Well, what's your beef?
So, us Cubs and Sox fans always get in arguments.
What's your beef?
With Cubs fans. It seems like they take this whole thing more serious than Sox fans.
What do you base that on, Eric? Anecdotal evidence, or did you read that?
No, it's all my friends' stuff, and especially you on the air. I mean,
I'm a stinking Cub. I got you. I'm a stinking Cub fan, right? Yeah. The truth comes out. At least, Eric, we didn't have to dump you. Hit the dump button. At least you didn't swear, right?
Yeah.
Good job, Eric. Thank you, buddy. Look at Jay. His finger was right there on the big red button. It's like that TV commercial. The big red button. Bam, bam. Cub fans are worse than Sox fans. I would think it's about equal. That's just me, Sorry for the anecdotal there, Eric. Let's go to Pat from Villa Park. Hello, Pat.
Hi, Murph. How you doing today?
I couldn't be better, Pat. You're going to be my final beefer for What's Your Beef, so give it to me.
Murph, my beef is with these pro athletes saying the word every time they get interviewed. It doesn't do any justice for these kids, and it's like they say it 25 times within a 2-minute interview. It just drives me crazy.
Well, you know what, Pat? It drives me crazy, too, but it used to really bother me. And then, you know what? I thought about it. Maybe I can sway you over on this. I realize these guys are in front of the microphone because they can hit the ball, or they can pass the football, or they can shoot the hockey puck, or they can make a basket. Now, if we're talking about maybe a journalist or a TV, radio guy, like me, then I think you got a valid argument. But these guys, I want them to go out there and hit the ball. You know what I mean?
You got that right. That's amazing.
Hey, Pat, go visit your friendly neighborhood Browns on Murph,
Thank you, Murph.
Thank you, Pat.
Thanks for participating in What's Your Beef. Join Murph for another edition of What's Your Beef. What's Your Beef has been brought to you by Brown's Chicken Sandwiches and Catering and BrownsChicken.com. All winners of the Mike Murphy Show are only eligible to win prizes once in a 60-day period.
That means you, Jason Muskie. Sports Radio 670. Hey, we go guest free the next hour, and we're just a couple minutes away from some great emails and a compressed column. A little Blackhawks talk. For sure, it's the score. Text results. Final chance right now, yes or no, 67011. I won't tell you where the numbers are right now. 67011, yes or no, from our friends at U.S. Cellular. If the Hawks lose tonight, are they dead? So, all right, Murph with you till 2 o'clock, driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. All right, we are guest-free for the next hour, which means it's just you and me, fans talking to fans. famous phone number remains 644-6767. And as I always say, you're welcome to beat the crowd if you have some fresh and new White Sox talk, fresh and new Chicago Cubs talk, fresh and new Chicago Blackhawks talk. Beat the crowd, 644-6767. Or if you prefer, I will try to lead you into some new, interesting, uncharted direction. 644-6767. In a minute, Jay Zawoski, our Blackhawk expert, they're going to be on tonight, win or lose, right? You're on tonight.
Absolutely. Win or lose.
Much more fun talking about that big Hawks victory tonight.
Yes.
Okay. Jay, in a minute or two, I'll need your key or two keys to the Blackhawks winning that game tonight in Detroit. You know, I think it was Calgary series where we had a segment, and I said, you know, I don't like that automatic phrase, steal one on the road. Because if you remember, Jay, we talked about, well, you know, the Blackhawks, they won a game in Calgary, and they won sort of, you know, not decisively, but they handled them. Right. I said it's not like stealing, but between you and me, Jay, if they win this game in Detroit...
It's a steal.
Yeah, because I don't see like a 5-1... Boy, would that be sweet. Hey, let me ask you this, Jay Zawoski. I have an email here, Kenny Owens from LaGrange Park. And, you know, Kenny's been emailing in for years, great Chicago sports fan. He says, Murph, he says, this might be blasphemy, but I don't really like the Detroit sucks chant at the United Center. He says, I know it's been back all the way to across the street at the old barn on Madison, but he says it's sort of a nationally, how do I say it right here? Chicago fans look dumb to the national fans watching on TV. Detroit sucks. This coming from fans of a team that, you know, have not won many Stanley Cups, and the Detroit Red Wings are always in the... Shut up, you sound dumb, is what Kenny Owens from LaGrange Park says. Now, every fan loves going, Detroit sucks, but if you come back here and you're down, and the Hawks are down 2-0, it's got sort of what's a hollow ring to it, you know, and is it nationally embarrassing, do you think?
I don't know if it's nationally embarrassing, but I think it makes... I think now that the Hawks are competitive, it's time to focus on the Hawks and not the opponent. Yeah. When the Hawks were terrible for the last 7 years, it's okay to rip on Detroit.
So, in other words, a chant of Hawks don't suck.
Or
Hawks don't suck.
How about let's go Hawks instead of Detroit sucks tonight?
644-6767. Come back in a few minutes, Jay, with your key or keys to tonight's game. Also, I want to open up the phone lines to Blackhawks fans, Sox fans, and Cubs fans. And you know what? I think it's the time right now to ask you to fill in the blank. The player, Murph, and you got to be a Cubs fan or a Sox fan or a Blackhawks fan, the player that has surprised me the most so far this year is, and it could be surprised you on the upside, man, I didn't know this guy was going to be this good, or surprised you on the downside. I didn't know how bad this guy was going to be. For instance, here's some of mine. Chicago Cubs. I knew he was going to be good, but he's even better than I thought he was going to be. Murph, the guy that has surprised me the most on the upside, Angel Guzman. I always loved Angel Guzman, but now he's even better because he's controlling that slider, curveball, whatever he calls it, because he's got the same pitch that Marmol threw, and he's starting to control it. He could be dangerous. Well, and let's be honest, the guy we didn't know was going to be this bad, I didn't. Surprise me how bad he's been so far. Milton Bradley, 1/4 through the season. I'm not giving up on him. Sox fans, I didn't know that Jason Nix was going to be this good. He should be at second base. If Swami Murph were here, I know he'd be predicting. In fact, there he is right now. I predict White Sox infield outfielder Jason Nix will be a starting second baseman for somebody in the American League next year. I hope it's the White Sox, Swami Murph. And Josh Fields surprised me how bad it's been. You heard John Dewan talking about third base defense for Josh Fields. Very, very poor. And Blackhawks fans, I didn't know how good. I was surprised how good Marty Havlat was this year. But I don't have a guy on the other side of this coin. Maybe Jay Zawoski can help me in a few minutes with that also. No one has surprised me how weak or bad things have been. This hour of the score brought to you by Menards. I want to ask Cub fans. Phone lines are jammed already, 644-6767. I want to ask Cub fans. Where's my what if? This is my what if. What if Wells and Marshall both appear to be viable number 5 starters? What if Randy Wells and Sean Marshall continue with good starts. What should Lou Piniella do with 6 starting pitchers? How do you maneuver it? How do you handle it? How would you do it? I have my own answer, and I don't know if something that Lou would consider. And Sox fans, this is the most important question of the day for all interested parties. Where was Brian Anderson yesterday? Now, I have unconfirmed reports that Brian Anderson has... we haven't had any breaking news on the roster, but I believe that Brian Anderson will be activated tonight for the White Sox game. Now, where was Brian Anderson yesterday is the question that I would like to ask Sox fans, and I would like to ask Kenny Williams, because there was a play in the White Sox game yesterday that, quite frankly, cost the Sox, in my opinion, the game. And it was not the fault of Jason Nix, a terrific fielding second baseman who started the game in left field. As you know, following the story, here is from the Tribune. Ozzie Guillen commended trainer Herm Schneider on the decision to send left fielder Carlos Guillen home a day early from Toronto to treat his sore left foot in the hope he could return to the Sox lineup tonight against the Twins. Now, let me ask you this. The play that cost the Sox, you could argue, the game, Sox were trailing 1-0, and in the bottom of the second inning, Jason Nix is in left field. He's not a left fielder. He's never been a left fielder. And quite honestly, he will never be a left fielder in the major leagues. He doesn't hit enough. He's a terrific defensive second baseman. Brian Anderson, if he's called up to the White Sox from AAA, he had the rib injury, right? If Brian Anderson ends up with the White Sox today or tomorrow or the next day versus the Twins, he's been playing at AAA. You got to ask yourself, why weren't the White Sox prepared to have Brian Anderson brought up so he could have played yesterday's day game in Toronto in center field or left field with Podsednik obviously sliding over to left field from center field, because this would not have occurred.
As that ball hit into left center field, dropped by Podsednik.
Well, I think he took his eye off the ball because Nix came over and cut in front of him. Now he's safe at third base. The question will be, is it a triple or an air? It's a ball that Scott should have had, and now he's talking it over with Jason Nix. Once you hear the center fielder, you've got to give way. And again, these guys haven't played a whole lot together. So it could very well be that Podsednik just took his concentration off as he watched Nix move right in front of him.
You read it perfectly. That's all that has to be said.
Harrelson and Stone on Comcast Sportsnet. No one's to blame here. The left fielder is certainly not to blame. He's never been out there 1 or 2 games in his career, and those over the last week or so, I believe I read. And it's not Pod's fault. He thought he was going to get steamrolled by the left fielder. So you pull up a little bit. The question is, if Brian Anderson is going to be brought up to Chicago today from AAA or tomorrow or Thursday against the Twins, and maybe he won't, then you got to be prepared to answer the question, if you're the Sox front office, why was not Brian Anderson ready? You fly him into Toronto. You don't know for sure if Carlos Quentin's going to be sent back home. You don't know about the foot. But if there was even a chance, a possibility, and you end up... See, all they want to do is get rid of Lillibridge. All you do is send him out. You release him or send him down. No one's going to claim him on you. It's just one game, right? Just one play. And let me ask a Sox fan this. What do you feel when you hear fans call in or experts the last day or two, although they're still only 5.5 back? How do you feel about this phrase? Especially if you're a math guy, numbers guy. You're 5.5 back. That's not bad. Here's the thing. If you're in second place, 5.5 back, you are 5.5 back. You got Kansas City in second, a game back. You got the Twins in third, 3.5 back. See, I've learned this from my years as a Cub fan when they are in 6th place, 5th place, and they go, and, Jim Lefevre, Dusty Baker, Tom Trebelhorn, all these guys that come and go, Riggs, and they'd say, hey, we're only 7 back. Yeah, you're 7 back in 5th place. The true category is called total games back, which someday they'll put a second column in the standings, because if you really do the numbers, when you're in fourth place, 5.5 back, you're 5.5 behind Detroit. You are 4.5 behind Kansas City. That brings you to about 9 back. And you're 2 games behind Minnesota. A fourth place team, 5.5 back, right now is actually, may not be interesting to you, may not be what you want to hear, but you're 11 games out. You're 11 total games behind. Let me ask you this. Sox are 5.5 back at Detroit. If the Sox win 6 in a row and Detroit loses 6 in a row, you're in first place by half a game? No. Because Kansas City and Minnesota got to lose their games also. And don't forget this, you play each other. In the unbalanced world of baseball, you play your own division, which means the teams above you, someone's going to keep winning, someone's going to keep losing. Right now, it's like when my Cubs manager used to say, hey, we're only 7 back, 5 back, 3 back. Yeah, when you're in 4th, 5th place, it is almost mathematically impossible. Sports Radio 670, it's Murph. Go right back to the phones. Driven to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com. Fans talking to fans, guest-free phones. We'll get right back to your calls. And I'm going to get Jay Zawaski's Blackhawks key to the game tonight. Also, Dave Van Dyke with this little nugget in the Tribune. Remember when Jim Hendry signed Ted Lilly? Man, he took a beating on that. Remember? Ted Lilly, 4 years? What was it, like $15 million a year, whatever? What was it, $10 million? It was $40 million over 4. Oh, but that horrible backloaded that we hear. Oh, we can't backload anything. Which is worse, by the way, backloading or, having guys that are through that aren't backloaded. Too bad you can't. Too bad. Well, anyway. Jermaine Dye, that's okay. They might get something for him. I'll tell you one thing. Every general manager would love to have Jermaine Dye, but they don't want to eat any of that dough. Listen to this. Dave Van Dyke, Ted Lilly, since last May. So let's call this over the last 162 games, all right? Ted Lilly, guess what his record is for the last full season? For the last 162 games, Ted Lilly has a 23 wins, 7 loss record. 23-7 with an ERA of 3.30. Boy, that was the dumbest thing that Jim Hendry ever did, was sign Ted Lilly 4 years at $40 million. My God, what was he thinking? Oh, Jay Zawaski. Let's talk a little Blackhawks. Let's bring Northwest Side. Ralph is on the score. Hello, Ralph. Hey, Ralph, how are you?
I want to talk Hawks series. Basically what I want to say, and I want to preface it by saying, the Hawks lost because the Wings outplayed them. They're a great team, and they were the least penalized team in hockey. But having said that, here's where I have the issue. I think that the referees, knowing that going into games, they won't call the Wings for those borderline calls. Like a couple of times when the Hawks had the puck in the offensive zone. And
let me jump in with you, Ralph. I'm not going to disagree, but that's been going on for 100 years in baseball, football, basketball, hockey. Basketball's the worst, no doubt about it. Intimidated by the home crowd. Baseball is the least intimidated, football next least, and hockey. Jay Zawaski, say hi to Ralph.
Hey, Ralph, how's it going?
Okay, and here's what I was getting at. I'm not saying, I'm not one of these crybabies who's saying, we lost because all I'm saying is this. Okay, if you're the referees and you know...
They ain't going to change. Ralph, that's the way they do it, man.
That you know that they're coming in with the least penalized team. But you should also know this.
Yeah.
That the Hawks came in with the first-rated power play in the league going into the playoffs, or come into the series in the playoffs, and Detroit was second. So all I'm saying is this. If you've got marginal calls, you've got two teams that could play great power play hockey, just keep it balanced, because I don't care what anybody says. You can call a penalty on a team for tripping a guy, whether it's intentional or not intentional. Let them play the game. That's all I'm saying.
All right, Ralph, let me bring my hockey guy, Jay Zawaski, in on this. Jay, what do you think?
It's not a bad point, Ralph, but you got to overcome those things, and there was nothing, gratuitous that wasn't called. There were no moments where I was up in arms. Where was the call? Maybe here or there, and the Hawks get away with some stuff too because they have the same reputation. They're not a big penalty team. The Hawks just need to overcome that and win. It's not a valid excuse, and Murph's right. It's been that way for 100 years in sports. It's going to continue to be that way. Sometimes the refs are right, sometimes they're wrong. It's up to the Hawks to overcome.
No, and there's no doubt about it. That's why I'm not making the argument that they lost that game because of the referees. But all I'm saying is that in a series where we hope to see at least go 6 or 7 games, it's going to come down to, especially Detroit's got such an awesome power play, we got to get our opportunities because they're not going to be goaded into the stupid penalties like we saw in the 2 previous series where, you get the guys pushing each other and putting their gloves in the other.
Well, veteran teams know those tricks, Ralph. So what you're asking is the young Hawks to be smarter beyond their years, and hopefully they can do it. Hey, Ralph, I got to take a few more calls. Phone again, all right, buddy?
All right, take care, Murph.
Appreciate it very much. Jay, you do like the 3 hours after the game. It's much more fun after a victory, I bet, when you do your Hawk Talk post-game, right?
It definitely is more fun, yes.
How about the Ranger when the Sox, the Sox have lost 12 of their last 15. The Sox are 3-12 since May 2nd. And a Ranger, I don't know how he does. He just smiles and keeps on going. He's like the little bunny. Just wind him up.
Yeah, I don't envy that position at all. That's for sure.
Everyone on hold. I'll start with Northside John, Rochelle, Illinois. You'll all be on the score. 644-676. And now one Sox fan is mad that Brian Anderson wasn't in Toronto yesterday. It's the score. Now you had a few. By the way, Brian Anderson, is any news on him yet?
Up.
Uh-huh. Okay, so he could have been in Toronto yesterday.
This move.
Yeah. So they put the poor sap out in left field. Has never been there before. The sap runs every 4 years.
Anybody that's in the major leagues is not a poor sap. I'm sorry.
Well, the sap don't belong in left field.
That's true.
It's not his fault he's in left field. It's not Pod's fault. He's got a guy ready to run him over from left field. And now we find out that Brian Anderson's in the big leagues. Why wasn't he flown up to Toronto Saturday or Sunday for the possibility that Carlos Quentin would have to come down to Chicago for a day or two for the foot injury or whatever it is, bruised heel? Then you would have had, hey, Sox fans don't seem to mind because I haven't had one fan call up upset about this. You would have had Brian Anderson in center yesterday. You would have had Pods in left. That ball would have been caught. And now it's 1-0. The 2-run homer by Tolman makes it 2-1. Everything's different.
Well, you know as well as I do, though, with the struggling economy, that the number of flights are down, and getting somebody on a plane at the last minute.
You're absolutely correct.
See, I mean, that's probably what it came down to.
I would hate to think that the price of an airplane, and then you just put them in Lillibridge room. You put them in Lillibridge room, right? So you're not even paying an extra hotel room.
We're sunk, and we'll have to pay through the nose.
Someone either didn't have their thinking cap on or was worried about saving, $500.
Doubt that would.
Well, then they didn't have well, it's the only two. Either they wanted to save the money or they didn't have their thinking cap on, and neither one is a good answer.
Right.
All right. Now, what was your other assignment,
I looked
Phelps?
up Javi Vasquez, 8 game. I have his log for the season.
Now, let me preface it with this. Javi Vasquez, Sox fans hate him because, in my opinion, I get emails from Sox. Murph, the blank and blank. You're a blank and Cub fan. What do you know? You just hate this. I don't hate this. I love baseball. Vasquez was poisoned to the fans through the media, I believe, in an orchestrated move by Guillen and Kenny Williams, so they could dump the $10 million at the end of the year and have the Sox fans go, "Yay! Get rid of that $10 million bum."
Right.
Now, they threw him on 3 days rest the final week of the season twice, and he didn't do well. He's not a 3-day rest guy. Then they started, I had to look this up because I had forgotten, Game 1 against Tampa Bay, they started Vasquez, and he got his ears pinned back on regular rest, 3 1/3 inning. Guess who they come in with? They come in with Clayton Richard, the guy who they'd been spot starting in for when they were skipping Vasquez and when Contreras went down. So if the White Sox management, meaning Ozzie and Kenny, if they hated Vasquez so much that they poisoned the well for 3 weeks in September saying he can't pitch the big game, why did they, Game 1 against Tampa Bay, not start Clayton Richard?
That would be considered a big game.
Yeah. So they start Vasquez. He gets his ears pinned back. He's out 3 1/3 inning out. Guess who comes in then on 4 days rest is Clayton Richard. And he pitched 4 nice innings, like 1 earned run, one or 2 hits.
Solid. Yeah.
So why didn't they start Clayton Richard in Game 1 against Tampa Bay if the guy Vasquez was their number one problem child?
I don't have an answer for that one, Mark.
They couldn't possibly be doing what we're thinking. We're hoping that... No, they wanted to win, right?
They want to win.
Then why'd they pitch him? They had already taken his confidence away in the papers by saying he can't pitch the big game. They start him in game 1, and he gets tomahawked. And then they bring in Clayton Richard, who they should have started, and he was fine. What do I know? I'm just a fan. Did you have another assignment, the Dodgers and the Mets last night?
Yes. Oh, by the way.
How about that?
Yeah, I didn't see it. That's past my bedtime.
I know.
That you don't see that happen very often.
Here's what happened.
Yeah.
Dodgers at home, Mets fly out there. It's the top of the 11th inning, and, well, here's a surprise. The score is tied, which would have to be the top of the 11th.
Yeah, correct.
The Mets have a man on first with 2 out, and the batter drives a triple to right center, Angel Pagan.
Yeah, that actually, to me, was the best part of the story.
So
it was 4 for 6 last night.
Ryan Church, or whatever his name is, rounds he's on first base, 2 out. He scores the tying run, right? Maybe not.
2-2.
Here's Mets radio. Mets radio.
First, here's the pitch. And it's ripped in the air to right center field towards the gap. It may get down, and it is in for a base hit to the base of the wall. Church around third. He's coming home. The relay throw will not be made. Instead, going to third is Pagan. The Mets have taken the lead, 3-2 here in the 11th inning. Angel Pagan with his 4th hit of the night has put the Mets on top. They're going to appeal to third. He missed third. He's out. Ryan Church missed third base and is called out by the third base umpire, Mike DeMuro. With Angel Pagan standing on third, they appealed by simply throwing to the third baseman, Mark Loretto, who was on the bag, and the third base umpire, Mike DeMuro, said that Church missed third base, and the Mets don't get the lead. Instead, they are denied in the top of the 11th inning. No runs on 2 hits. Middle of the 11th, tied at 2 on the WFAN Mets Radio Network.
Now, Joe Bartosh.
There's something about the angst of a hometown announcer.
I love
it.
So
bad. Yeah.
Now, you want to hear how Charlie Steiner on Dodgers radio called it. By the way, the Dodgers will score in the bottom of the 11th on another fluky, goofy play to win the game. But let's go to the L.A. call, KABC. Charlie Steiner?
Pagan, the switch hitter, batting from the left side. The 2-2 from Troncoso is on his way.
These are unedited, by the way.
Swinging a fly ball right
I hope they don't swear.
That's away back there. And that it is 1 hop off the wall. The Mets are going to take the lead. Pagan's going to have himself a triple. And the Mets lead the Dodgers 3-2. After 2 out and nobody on, the Dodgers, I think, are going to appeal at third base. Out at third base! Do you believe that? Church missed third base. No run. The Dodgers, divine intervention. Church missed third. We go to the bottom half of the 11th inning. No run scored. The Mets and Dodgers are tied at 2.
I know.
Not divine intervention. That's really bad base running is what it is.
Well, never miss Church. Church missed third. Now, here's the thing. Bottom of the inning, the Dodgers will load up the bags with 1 out. And there's a 1-hopper to the first baseman. By the way, the Mets are in more disarray than the White Sox. Injuries, guys out of position, playing where they've never been before. Now, Jeremy Reed was a White Sox rookie traded to what? The Mariners.
Yeah.
And he's an outfielder by trade. Well, he's at first base. Bases loaded, 1 out. There's a 1-hopper to the first baseman. He's throwing home for the force out at the plate. He throws it like about 15 feet over the head of the catcher. Dodgers win the game in the bottom of the 11th.
Somebody was playing short for them the other night who hadn't played short since 90. Yeah, since 98 or something.
Ramon Martinez. The Cubs had him years ago. The Giants.
But yeah, they're all goofed up.
On top. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Joe Bartosh. All right, Jay, what's your key to the Blackhawks game tonight? Let's bring in Dave from Crystal Lake. Hello, Dave.
Yeah, hey.
Hey.
Hello, guys.
Hey, everything's fine.
You're a hoot.
Well, I'm going to open up a restaurant then.
Yeah.
Hoot.
No, I'm just calling. I'm glad to see the Blackhawks in it. Rather than the Nashville or Tampa Bay and the original 6. And it's
you know what? The original. There should be a league rule in every league that the originals get at least 1 guy in every last round or in the the World Series should be one of the original 16. The NFL should be one of the original 12 in the Super Bowl. I like that. Dave, one of the original 6 must always be in the Stanley Cup.
Well, it's
see what happens, but I think the Wings are going to be too much, and the Blackhawks, it's going to be a learning lesson for them, but they'll be in it, a force to be reckoned with in years to come.
Detroit sucks.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. This hour brought to us by Menards. So, Jay Zawoski, you say, hey, lose the Detroit sucks. Let's go, Hawks. Positive, I'm from the Hawks fan.
Positive and show we're not sore losers, we're good winners.
It's not real creative, really.
No.
Detroit sucks.
If we suck, it's okay to say they suck. But if we're good, let's cheer for our team.
So what's the key to the game tonight? Because you will be on the air after the game tonight, after Sox post-game and all that.
Right.
With the big, you're going to have the big W, the giant W, I hope. What's the key? What do I watch for tonight on, what is it, Versus?
Versus.
Okay.
Do not turn the puck over. That's my key to the game. That's what cost him the last game. Seabrook with a turnover and Keith with a turnover.
Seabrook's turnover sounds like an appetizer over at a little deli somewhere. Now, here's the thing. How come Hobby Bullen didn't snare that slap shot from the left side?
That was a soft call.
That was terrible.
Yeah, he let in a couple soft
That
calls.
was the one hole, glove hand up.
Yep.
You taught me that.
That's
one hole glove hand up, 2 hole glove hand down, 3 hole is the cross backhand glove hand up, and the 4 hole is the glove hand backhand down. How come he didn't snare that one? That was the whole game right there.
Yep, that was definitely a soft goal. But he asked for one key.
By the way,
the turnover before the soft goal.
Check this out. Versus, some people don't even get the damn thing, right? This network, this Versus. From our buddy Freddie Mitchell today in the Tribune. He has a quote from the president of Versus. It says, "My heart is beating over 1,000,000 miles an hour." Over this said Jamie Davis, president of, I assume he's a fella, could be a gal, Versus, president of Versus, and a Chicago native. Now, that's fine. Jamie Davis, a Chicago native, is the boss of Versus, right? Listen to his next statement. It's the young kids, he says, Taves and Kane, who are becoming household names. They are known, now listen to this, the Chicago guy says, they are known not only in the Windy City, they are known across the country. Have you ever met anyone born and raised in Chicago that calls Chicago the Windy City ever in your life? Ever? No.
And if they do, they should be deported.
Well, Grant deported? No. Either Jamie Davis is not really a Chicago native, as he told Fred Mitchell, or he's already got that network national persona. Whoa, we want the whole... He's thinking of his promos. The Motor City and the Windy City. See, he's already thinking like that. Come on, you're from Chicago. People from San Francisco? If they hear you go Frisco, they want to kill you. We're from Frisco.
Can we throw Chi-Town on that list?
Chi-Town!
Chi-Town is
no one from Chicago. Thank you, Jay. Caller the show. Go visit my friends at Browns. Nobody from Chicago says, oh, yeah, I'm from Chi-Town. Let's go to Tom from Oak Lawn. Hello, Tom.
Hey, Murph, how you doing today?
Tommy, you're a lifelong Chicago guy. You ever say Chi-Town or Windy City? I'm going back to the Windy City?
No.
No, of course not. Of course not.
No, I just, in response to your other question about being mad about Brian Anderson not being in there.
No, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm just saying, why wasn't Brian Anderson in Toronto yesterday to catch the damn ball?
Oh, he would have saved the game easily, because not only that one where the Knicks and Pods almost collided, but also at the end when Dotel was in, and he gave up, and Scotty Pods ran his butt off to get to it, but he just didn't get there. I'm sorry, Brian Anderson is just a better judge of getting the ball off the bat and seeing where it's going to be. I just think he would have caught that ball.
Well, that's opinion, and I will not disagree with you, but I don't think it's an opinion that when you have a second baseman in left field, there's going to be communication trouble, and Pods, got mixed up with Knicks running at him.
Yes, definitely.
Hey, Tom, you're a credit to the Windy City and Chi-Town, but mostly Oak Lawn, my friend.
All right, take care, Murph.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. Let's go back to the old barn on Madison, the Lowry organ. Was it the Lowry organ?
Barton, Oregon.
Barton, Oregon. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. Go Hawks. See you later, everybody. Al Melgard on the organ. The stadium organ. Car's stolen when you go back to the lot.
As he leaves Chicago, I just have one sentiment. Good riddance.
Hawks win! Hawks win!